Commander Zekthara clicked her mandibles in what passed for a sigh among the Veltar. The holographic display before her showed the latest batch of supervision requests from the Galactic Council's integration department. 47 species required guidance in their transition to spacefaring civilization. Most were straightforward assignments, a few decades of technological oversight, cultural mentoring, maybe some assistance with their first interstellar governments. Then there were the humans. Species designation, Homo sapiens. Classification, highly unstable, prone to violence, requires constant supervision. She read the file aloud to her aide, Mordek. Recommendation, assign only the most experienced instructors. Multiple supervisors required at all times. Mordek's photosynthetic patches flickered with amusement. Another warrior species? We've handled dozens of those. That's what I thought. Zekthara pulled up the human homeworld data. Single planet, recently achieved nuclear capability, frequent tribal conflicts. Standard template, really? She paused at one entry. Though their population density is unusual. How unusual? 8 billion individuals on one world. Zekthara's mandibles clicked rapidly, the Veltar equivalent of nervous laughter. Most species barely reach 1 billion before expanding to other worlds or reducing their numbers through warfare. And humans? They just kept growing. Even through multiple global conflicts, natural disasters, plagues, they adapt and multiply. She scrolled through more data. Their reproductive rate is actually quite modest, but their survival instincts are… She searched for the right word. Stubborn. Mordek leaned over her shoulder to read. It says here they've survived 5 major extinction events in their planet's history. That's not uncommon. Many species. No, Zekthara. 5 extinction events that happened after they achieved sentience. They've been through ice ages, supervolcano eruptions, asteroid impacts, plagues that killed significant portions of their population, and they just kept going. Zekthara felt a chill run down her exoskeleton. Well, that explains the multiple supervisors required notation. Send a message to Instructor Vexhai. She's handled difficult species before. Instructor Vexhai had been training primitive species for over 3 centuries. She'd guided the warlike Kraxans away from their blood sport culture, helped the overly logical synthetic minds develop emotional intelligence, and even convinced the notorious fleshrenders to adopt vegetarianism. The humans were just another assignment. The integration facility on Luna, humanity's natural satellite, was state-of-the-art. Comfortable quarters for both species, universal translators, full diplomatic protocols. Vexhai arrived with her standard team, 1 cultural analyst, 1 technological advisor, and 1 security specialist. Standard procedure for violent species. The first human delegation arrived exactly on time. Vexhai noted this with approval. Punctuality suggested they could be taught discipline. There were 12 of them, representing different regions of their planet. They wore simple, dark clothing and carried small electronic devices. "Welcome," Vexhai said through the translator. "I am Instructor Vexhai of the Galactic Integration Department. We are here to help your species transition safely to interstellar civilization." A female human stepped forward. Dr. Sarah Chun, representing the United Earth Coalition. "We're grateful for this opportunity to learn." Vexhai blinked. In her experience, newly contacted species were either terrified, aggressive, or overwhelmed by the reality of galactic civilization. The humans seemed politely interested. "Before we begin," Dr. Chun continued, "we've prepared some questions about galactic law, trade protocols, and defensive agreements." Questions. Vexhai's security specialist, Grax, stepped closer. "You should focus on listening and learning, human." Dr. Chun smiled, a baring of teeth that Vexhai's cultural training identified as friendly rather than threatening. "Of course, we're eager to learn, but we've found that asking questions helps us understand faster. We've actually prepared a preliminary analysis of galactic civilization based on your initial contact data." She handed Vexhai a small device. "This contains our observations about 17 different species' political structures, trade relationships, and territorial agreements. We noticed some interesting patterns. Vexhai accepted the device uncertainly. You analyzed us? Just what was publicly available. We're naturally curious. Another human, introduced as Dr. James Okafor, joined the conversation. For instance, we noticed that most spacefaring species seem to have originated from worlds with significantly smaller populations than ours. We're wondering if this affects resource management strategies in space-based colonies. Vexhai felt the first stirrings of unease. We hadn't planned to discuss comparative xenosociology until much later in your training. Oh, we don't want to get ahead of ourselves, Dr. Chan assured her. We just like to understand the context before we begin learning new systems. It helps us ask better questions. Better questions. Vexhai looked at her team. They were all staring at the humans with expressions ranging from confusion to concern. Within 1 week, Vexhai had to request additional personnel. The humans weren't violent. They weren't even particularly difficult. They were just intense. They absorbed information at a rate that made Vexhai dizzy. Worse, they didn't just memorize it, they analyzed it, cross-referenced it with data from their own civilization, and began developing improvements. Instructor Vexhai, Dr. Chun approached after a lesson on interstellar navigation. We've been studying your FTL communication systems, and we think we've found a way to improve efficiency by approximately 12%. Vexhai's head tentacles curled, a sign of stress. Humans, you were supposed to be learning basic stellar cartography. When did you? Oh, we picked up the cartography pretty quickly, Dr. Okafor said cheerfully. So we moved on to communications theory. Dr. Patel here has a background in quantum mechanics, and she noticed some optimization opportunities. Dr. Patel stepped forward with another device. The improvement is actually quite simple. You're using a standard quantum entanglement array, but you're not accounting for stellar gravitational lensing in your signal routing. If you adjust the phase variance by... Stop! Vexhai held up a hand. Just stop. You've been here 1 week. You're supposed to be learning basic concepts. You shouldn't even understand FTL communication theory yet. The humans exchanged glances. Should we slow down? Dr. Chen asked. We don't want to be disrespectful. It's just that this is all very exciting. That night, Vexhai sent her first request for additional supervisors. Human learning curve exceeds all parameters. Request additional instructors specializing in advanced technologies. Also request xenopsychologist. Human curiosity patterns are unprecedented. The response came back within hours. Negative. Standard protocol is sufficient. Continue with basic curriculum. By the end of the 2nd week, the humans had somehow gained access to the facility's technical databases and were submitting suggestions for improving life support efficiency, gravity generation, and defensive systems. By the end of the 3rd week, they had built a working prototype of an improved quantum communicator using spare parts from the facility's maintenance bay. By the end of the 4th week, Vexhai was sleeping with her security system activated and had banned humans from accessing anything more complex than the food replicators. They improved the food replicators too. They did what? Commander Zekthara's mandibles were clicking so rapidly they sounded like rainfall. Vexhai's image flickered on the holographic display. Her tentacles curled so tightly they formed knots. They reverse-engineered our defensive grid. Not hacked, reverse-engineered. They built their own version that's somehow 30% more efficient. That's impossible. Our defensive systems took the Veltar military 3 centuries to develop. I know. I told them that. Dr. Chin apologized and said they tried to slow down. But Dr. Martinez kept having ideas, and Dr. Kim wanted to test them, and apparently when humans get excited about something they have trouble stopping. Zekthara pulled up the incident report. It says here they didn't actually break any rules. No, they asked permission for everything. Can we look at the power distribution systems? Can we examine the shield generators? Can we run some tests in the engineering bay? They were so polite about it I kept saying yes. And then they built a better defense system using our spare parts and some components they apparently synthesized using the molecular fabricator. which, by the way, they figured out how to operate in 2 days despite the fact that it took me 6 months to learn it during my advanced training. Zekthara was quiet for a long moment. Vex-High, are the humans showing any signs of aggression? Any territorial behavior? Attempts to dominate other species? No, that's the disturbing part. They're genuinely friendly and cooperative. They share all their discoveries immediately. They've started teaching our own technicians ways to improve their work. Yesterday, Chief Engineer Zaltar told me he's learned more in 4 weeks with humans than in the previous decade of his career. Then what's the problem? Vex-High's tentacles uncurled slightly. Zekthara, they asked me if we had any unsolved problems they could look at. For fun. When I told them about the chronic power fluctuations in Sector 7 that our best engineers haven't been able to fix for 20 years, they asked if they could take a quick look. And they solved it in 3 hours. The solution was so elegant that it's being implemented on 12 other facilities across the sector. Zekthara felt a chill. Vex-High, how intelligent are these humans supposed to be? According to their classification, average, slightly above average in some areas, but mostly just a standard carbon-based intelligence with good survival instincts. Their IQ ratings? Comparable to most spacefaring species. Nothing exceptional. Then how? I don't think it's raw intelligence, Zekthara. I think it's something else. They approach every problem like their lives depend on solving it. And they never, ever stop trying. Dr. Elena Vasquez, the Galactic Council's chief xenopsychologist, arrived at the Luna facility with a team of specialists. Her mission: determine why the humans were exceeding all integration parameters and whether they posed a threat to galactic stability. She observed them for a week before requesting a private meeting with Instructor Vex-High. I need to ask you something, Dr. Vasquez said, her scales shifting to a concerned orange pattern. How many hours per day do humans sleep? About 7 to 8. Why? And the rest of the time? They're active, learning, discussing, experimenting. They seem to have difficulty with downtime. Dr. Vasquez consulted her notes. Most spacefaring species require 12 to 14 hours of rest per day. Active learning periods typically last no more than 4 to 6 hours before mental fatigue sets in. Humans can apparently maintain active learning for 16 hours straight. Dr. Chun told me yesterday that she'd been thinking about the gravity generator problem for 2 days. Not just during work hours, constantly. Even during their sleep periods, they sometimes wake up with solutions. That's not normal. Dr. Vasquez looked troubled. I've been reviewing their psychological profiles. These humans aren't exceptional individuals, correct? No, they're supposed to be representative of their species. Average intelligence, average education levels for their civilization. Average. Dr. Vasquez repeated the word slowly. Vex-High, I think we need to reconsider what average means for humans. She pulled up a comparative analysis. Look at this. When most species encounter a problem they can't immediately solve, they either seek help, give up, or approach it systematically over extended periods. Humans do something different. What? They become obsessed. Dr. Martinez spent 18 hours straight trying to understand our quantum field equations. When I asked him why, he said the math was bothering him, and he couldn't focus on anything else until he figured it out. Vex-High nodded. Dr. Patel stayed up for 3 days working on the communicator improvements. We finally had to order her to sleep. It's not just persistence, it's compulsive problem solving. And when they solve something, instead of being satisfied, they immediately start looking for the next problem. Dr. Vasquez's scales shifted to a worried purple. Vex-High, I think we classified them wrong. What do you mean? We thought they were a violent species that needed supervision. But I don't think that's what they are at all. She paused, choosing her words carefully. I think they're an optimization species. A what? Think about it. 8 billion individuals on one world, surviving multiple extinction events, constantly improving their technology, never satisfied with the status quo. They don't fight because they're aggressive. They fight because they see problems that need to be solved. Inefficient governments, resource distribution issues, territorial disputes. It's all just problems to be optimized. Vexhai felt her tentacles beginning to curl again. Are you saying they're dangerous? I'm saying they're relentless. And now they've discovered a whole galaxy full of inefficiencies. 3 months after first contact, Commander Zekthara received an emergency communication from the Luna facility. Instructor Vexhai appeared on screen, surrounded by what looked like a construction site. Zekthara, we have a situation. What kind of situation? Are the humans being violent? No, they're helping. All of them. And I mean all of them. Zekthara squinted at the chaos behind Vexhai. Explain. Word got back to Earth about the integration facility. About the problems we've been solving, the improvements we've been making. The human government asked if they could send more representatives. How many more? 50,000. Zekthara's mandibles stopped clicking entirely. 50,000? They're calling it a volunteer program. Scientists, engineers, doctors, artists, philosophers, anyone who wants to help with galactic integration. They've set up temporary habitats on Luna's surface, and they're working in shifts. Working on what? Everything. Vexhai gestured helplessly. They've redesigned our communication networks, improved our transportation systems, solved 17 outstanding engineering problems, and they're currently working on a solution to the Andorian food shortage crisis. The Andorians have been trying to solve that for decades. The humans think it'll take them another week. Maybe 2 if they run into complications. Zekthara tried to process this. Vexhai, are they taking over? Are they trying to control galactic civilization? No, that's the terrifying part. They keep asking if we want them to slow down. They're constantly checking to make sure they're not overstepping boundaries. Dr. Chun asked me yesterday if they should dial back the enthusiasm, because they didn't want to make other species uncomfortable. Then what do they want? To help, to solve problems, to make things better. Vexhai's tentacles drooped. Zekthara, they've started collaborating with other species. The Kraxans are working with humans on improving their agricultural systems. The synthetic minds asked for human assistance with their emotional development programs. Even the flesh renders want to consult with humans about optimizing their new vegetarian diet systems. Zekthara stared at the screen. And everyone is accepting this? Everyone is thriving. Productivity across 17 systems is up by an average of 40%. We've solved more outstanding problems in the last 3 months than in the previous decade. Then what's the emergency? Vexhai took a deep breath. The emergency is that I can't keep up with them. None of us can. They work constantly, they never stop improving things, and they genuinely seem to enjoy doing it. Yesterday, Dr. Okafor thanked me for giving humans the opportunity to help make the galaxy a better place. He was practically glowing with happiness. That sounds positive? Zekthara, they've already submitted a proposal to help integrate the next 12 species on the Council's list. They want to streamline the entire integration process, make it more efficient, more effective. They think they can cut standard integration time from decades to years. Zekthara was quiet for a long moment. What are you recommending? I'm recommending we change the classification. Humans don't need supervision. Vexhai looked directly into the camera. We need their supervision. What? They're not dangerous because they're violent. They're dangerous because they're helpful. And they're relentless about it. Give them a problem, any problem, and they won't stop until they've not only solved it, but improved the solution and taught everyone else how to implement it. Zekthara felt a strange sensation, what humans would have called a chill running down her spine. Vexhai, are you afraid of them? Terrified, Vexhai admitted. Not because they'll hurt us, but because they'll help us whether we want it or not. And the worst part is, they're really, really good at it. A new voice interrupted the conversation. Instructor Vexhai? Dr. Chun appeared in the frame, smiling that friendly human smile. Sorry to interrupt, but we've finished optimizing the Luna facility systems and we were wondering, do you have any other projects we could work on? Maybe something challenging? Vexhai turned to face her, tentacles curling in what humans had learned to recognize as stress. Dr. Chun, don't you ever want to rest? Take a break? Maybe just not solve problems for a while. Dr. Chun looked genuinely puzzled. Why would we want to do that? There's so much to fix. After the communication ended, Zekthara sat in silence for several minutes. Then she opened a new file and began typing. Species reclassification request, Homo sapiens. Previous classification. Requires supervision due to violent tendencies. Revised classification. Benevolent optimization species. Warning. May improve galactic civilization whether requested or not. Handle with appreciation and mild terror. She paused, then added, Note. In retrospect, their tendency toward violence may have been a symptom of insufficient problems to solve. Recommend keeping humans continuously supplied with challenges to prevent them from getting bored and optimizing things we didn't know needed optimizing. Additional note. Cancel request for multiple supervisors. Recommend assigning humans as supervisors for other species integration processes. They appear to enjoy it. 1 year later, the Galactic Integration Department had been completely reorganized. Humans now managed integration processes for all new species, reducing average integration time from 30 years to 3. They had also solved the Council's budget crisis, streamlined interstellar trade agreements, and were currently working on a project to optimize galactic peace that involved complicated mathematical models and what they called game theory. Instructor Vexhai now worked as a liaison between humans and other species, helping to manage the cultural adjustment process. She had learned to recognize the warning signs of humans getting interested in a problem and had developed emergency protocols for when they started phrases with, "You know what might work better." Commander Zekthara's final log entry read, "They said humans needed supervision. We were right. We just didn't understand what kind. We thought we were supervising them. Turns out they were supervising us all along. They just waited politely for us to figure it out. The galaxy is running more efficiently than ever. I am simultaneously grateful and deeply concerned about what they'll optimize next." Personal note. Dr. Chun asked me yesterday if galactic government structure could be improved. I told her it was fine the way it is. She smiled and said, "Of course, Commander. We were just curious. I haven't slept well since. They're coming to help, whether we want it or not. And the truly terrifying part is, we do want it."